What's going on, guys? This is Bradley alongside Zach, and you are listening to the Charm City Sideline podcast. Tonight, we are going live for our first Q&A episode of the season, featuring DK Kunimoto, producer of 410 Sports Talk. How's it going, DK?
Hey, it's going great, man. It's going great. It's great to see you again. Former intern at 410 Sports Talk. We did some shows together back then, so fun times all around. But I'm glad to be on your show. This is fun.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. I used to do like social media thumbnails for 410 Sports Talk, and DK and I had a podcast together for members for a little bit, and that was really fun. So yeah.
For sure. Thanks again.
Yeah, guys. Well, we do want you guys to subscribe, like. If you want to be a part of submitting these questions for us to answer, you want to become a member, which you can do down below in the description, and you'll get priority for these questions. But this week we went right off of Instagram. We have quite the heater starting out, gentlemen. I'm going to say Dr. Faulkner as his IG. Will Harbaugh ever be held accountable for his blown leads? What's it going to take? DK, start us off. What are your thoughts about a take like that?
Man, it's hard to say. You know, I think the key thing here is that there's a strong relationship between the owner and the coach. And there's got to be a certain level of pride in the fact that the Ravens have one of the longest tenured coaches in the NFL. So I think that factors in to a lot of it. I hope this isn't a tangent. The one thing that I do want to say about Harbaugh is, because I've seen a lot on social media comments about Harbaugh and the Ravens culture, and this is something that he's sort of like, you know, he's responsible for this culture. But I do think if we're going to talk about culture, it's important to, you know, take in the whole picture, right? I mean, so yeah, I'm going to take in all the information I have about the blown leads and all that, but that also comes with the fact that, you know, they do a really great job developing guys that they draft themselves. You know, we talk about this year, they were able to have 3 undrafted rookies make the roster, the 53-man roster. And, you know, it's a pretty impressive, you know, in terms of like how he builds the team and how he gets his guys ready. I mean, I don't know, he's second to none in that space. So, you know, I do think there's, it's a nuanced discussion in terms of like where Harbaugh is at fault for some of this stuff. Because I do think that, again, it's this, I think the Ravens have a sense of pride in this long-standing chain of GM, head coach, and, you know, really supported by the owner. And so, you know, just based on history, based on what we know about the Ravens, I think they really value the fact that they have that kind of continuity. I mean, if you compare with other teams in the NFL, you know, it's where they don't have continuity, where we have discussions about dysfunction and all that. So, you know, I don't know. I don't see that there might be real ramifications. I mean, when I'm talking about ramifications, I'm talking about a firing. Yeah. I don't think it's really going to happen unless there's a complete meltdown. And I think when I say complete meltdown, we're talking about, I mean, right now, look, it's week 1. If we're talking about a complete meltdown or maybe a continued meltdown in the playoffs, then I think it's a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a comment from Nate here. The easy answer is that he's gotten older and more cautious, which isn't effective when you have the stars and studs we have on both sides of the ball and the lack of cohesion in the fourth. I agree with the bulk of what you said, DK. I mean, the whole conversation about the grass isn't always greener, right? You know, I've had these, you know, thoughts occasionally after these playoff losses, whether it's been, you know, Lamar plays bad or, you know, something else happens, Andrews drops balls. It's always like it was Lamar playing bad for some of the playoff losses. And I think what even the national media has been talking about yesterday and today is they sort of had this maybe realization where it was so easy to blame Lamar for everything. And then they watched last night and they're like, wait, why did they lose that game? And I think that's why you're seeing all of this traction. And I mean, in my opinion, and you know, it is week 1, like you said, like if this were to happen again in a divisional round in the AFC Championship, like I'm just posing a thought. At what point do you think a new face, a new slate is good for your first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback to, sort of go on to, the second half of his career? So I'm not sort of making a strong opinion either way here, but we'll see how the season plays out, Zach.
Yeah, I'm very cautious on this. I loved both of your answers. I think that there is such a strong shadow of wanting to get rid of Harbaugh through the fan base that when a loss this dramatic happens, it's going to rear its ugly head. So on one hand, I would like to be, with that whole group and say, yeah, I think if there was some star caliber head coach available right now, or maybe within this organization, that you'd be comfortable saying, hey, let's let him take the reins. It's again, a different topic. You don't know whether to say, we're willing to get rid of a guy that's constantly getting us double-digit win seasons and into the playoffs and in situations to win big games. Like, this is kind of the same drum we tend to beat on this podcast too, where I would point towards like a Steelers organization where it is a tremendous amount of respect, but like the Steelers have these seasons constantly where they're okay with the 9-8 ball club. They're not making a dramatic change anywhere really to get them into a spot to succeed more. So on one side, I really do want to side with Harbaugh and the organization, trusting them like we have for the last, 8 years of Lamar too.
Yeah.
And it's a tough discussion. There's like a second part to this question that you were sprinkling on DK right at the end there. PCW_IV asked, if we drop to a crazy 0-4, would that be is Harbaugh gone? Like that doesn't have to be like a really in-depth question, by the way. It's just a 0-4. Like, is that really the breaking point?
Man,
a loss to the Browns sounds rough.
Yeah, that I mean, it's the quality of the losses that mean a lot to me. So 0-4 means 3 more losses, and I'll just take the information that I have. I saw the Bills game, and we were the better team on the field. Yeah. So if that continues for the next 3 games, we're the better team on the field, but we somehow find ways to lose. I don't know. It's tough. I still feel like it's a tweak problem. It's not like, hey, you're feeling an all-star team, but you're getting blown out. That's a different story.
Yeah,
sure.
There.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I was about to say. All right, we can go on to the next question. Kind of a little week 1 group up here. I'm so sorry. Brandy Benedictus? I'm so sorry. How do you see the division and which team is a bigger threat? People say Steelers, but I say Bengals. Brad, we can count the Browns, I guess, in it too. Let's not disrespect them. But out of the division, who do you think is the biggest threat right now?
Browns choked against the Bengals on Sunday. So that was
bad.
A heartbreaker for Ravens fans, probably just because the Bengals are a bit more of a threat than the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer this question, I'm going to say the Bengals are a bigger threat. The Steelers' passing offense, looked pretty good on Sunday. They couldn't run the ball at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long that's going to last of Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns a game. And the Bengals played poorly again in a week 1 game. And, they did find a way to win, even though they had 7 yards in the second half against Cleveland. But, we've seen these shootouts against the Bengals time and time again. The 2 games last year, they put up, 35, 40 points against the Ravens, even though the Ravens were able to win. You could probably be looking at those games similarly to the game we just saw against the Bills. And I guess you could almost say it was a little lucky to win both of those games against the Bengals last year. And I think I had them as a playoff team this year getting in. I had the Steelers going 7-10. So I'm just going to stick with what I predicted 2 weeks ago and say the Bengals are definitely a bigger threat, in my opinion.
Wow. DK, what do you think?
Well, I have to agree with you. Partly because of the Ravens. And what we saw in week 1 was like the defense didn't start off strong at all. I thought actually the defense would be a strength, gauging from what we saw last year. By the end of last year, I thought they had some momentum, like Zach Orr was getting comfortable in his own system. But I don't want to call it a regression. I mean, there are new pieces involved. So I think what we're seeing is that, the defense too, just like any other new unit, is going to need some time to gel and get comfortable with each other. And a lot of those guys didn't play in the preseason as well. So I'm not too worried, but based off of what I saw, they still have steps to improve. And when I take a look at the Bengals, but it's a little bit of the same story with the Bengals. I mean, I don't think they're in midseason form. They never are at the beginning of the season. But I mean, if you're looking down the stretch and you're asking me what the Bengals might look like in peak form, with the possibility that we don't see as much improvement as expected from the Ravens defense. If you put those two things together, then it's not a good matchup. It's not a good matchup. So, I mean, I would say for that reason, the Bengals to me are a little scarier.
Like, I love that take. I think that what the Steelers showed was almost similar to us, where their defense couldn't stop a Jets team. And that was supposed to be the, backbone of that team. So I'm kind of cautious towards the Steelers, because if Rodgers can stay healthy and have that caliber of offense throughout the season, I would be impressed. But I really didn't like how much the Bengals played pretty good defensively. They sure had some moments where the Browns could have opened that game up, but they made turnovers when it counted. I think Shamar Stewart played a pretty good game. Like, I would give them some credit. We do have a comment here from Maddie. Imagine watching this game without knowing either team. You would say Ravens are the better team, but the Bills are better coached. That's the glaring problem. We appreciate you commenting that, Maddie. That's a great take. Like, the next question is about why do we think we lose games like we did on Sunday night? That comment's from Cousin Marcus. And I don't know where else you'd point the finger. Sure, Derrick Henry had that fumble, and that is about as massive a mistake as you can get. The one thing we were calling for the offense to do is not turn the ball over. You did it for, 55 minutes of that game? like that was as perfect as you could get. So, DK, what would you say would be the reason we lost that game? Would you point to a few big issues in the fourth, or would you point to a turnover?
Man, I mean, obviously it's both. But, I don't know. I've thought about this a lot, actually. And initially, while I was watching the game, right, on that the fourth down where we were up by 2 and we didn't go for it, we punted the ball. My original reaction was, all right, let's give our defense a shot to redeem themselves. They haven't been playing terribly. It's just the last few series were kind of problematic. And so there was a bit of that for me. I really felt like, all right, hey, look, I grew up on Ravens football. Like, I love defense. I want to see a stop. I would love to see a stop. And that would have actually been a better story, to the game if, the Bills had, captured the momentum and the Ravens defense made a huge, say, turnover or a big stop, big hit, like that could have been the story where it's like, the Ravens defense looked like they were going to fall apart, but now, hey, they're as good as advertised. If they made some stop at the end of the game, then I think we wouldn't have talked about them bleeding at the end, but the heroic stops that they might have made. So I'm sympathetic to that angle, but at the same time, if you're looking at the problem I have with Harbaugh is my assessment is that he is coaching in ideally for a team that should have been 15 years ago, right? And now, I've seen also comments about, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs. If you got those guys on the team, yeah, sure, field your defense. Not just that, but the game is different, right? And the fact that you didn't have a Josh Allen that far back where, he could just tear you apart any way. So part of it is, knowing that the game is just different and knowing your opponent too. I mean, I think if you ask me, it's a little bit of an underestimation of like Josh Allen's talent and maybe an overestimation of how your defense could make a stop. So I think it's and then add to that what happened beforehand, right? Like it was a three and out with the lead, but it looked like, man, if they were marched down, they win this game. And that conservative play, I'm not worried about the conservative play. It's that, like, if you're going to run like some simple plays to try to get a first down, like the thing to do in that scenario is to try to trick the defense in some way. Like just, obviously you want Derrick Henry on the field in some way, but like that's the time to put out your best play to try to get that first down in a decisive way. Right. And I don't know that I really saw that. Right. Like there was a little confusion with DeAndre Hopkins and the communication with Lamar Jackson. It almost signaled like, hey, do this right. I'm going to go to you. And they threw the ball to him, which whatever. I mean, again, these things are going to happen, I guess, in week one, but like, but I was just a little bit, I wasn't impressed with like the calls on the 3 offensive plays to have to, be a 3 and out at that point. So like, it was a collection of things that happened that transpired at that point. Obviously the turnovers were a big deal, but like, it's stuff like that kind of concerns me. It's like the conservative play and the lack of creativity that adds to the whole, it's like you're playing in the past against teams who are, contemporaries of today's football. And it's not a good mixture when you're on the old side.
Wow. Yeah. I like it. We have a comment from Matty Boom again. Honestly, I agree the cornerbacks deserve blame, but Josh had forever in the pocket. Edge rushers deserve a lot of blame. And on the Bills' final drive with 0 timeouts, why are we running man coverage? And Nate Blake also commenting that the DBs weren't getting help from the rushes. My take about the fourth quarter and my main take about the fourth quarter, obviously the defense played really bad for multiple possessions in a row there. The play calling, whatever you want to call it, execution, I was not happy with it. And this wasn't even something you look back on it. I look back on it and I'm like, why did they do that? No, like those 3 final possessions while they were happening, I was like, what are they doing? Like it was so conservative and you could tell they were just trying to end the game instead of trying to score again, which they were doing at will. And I don't know if that's we don't know if that's Harbaugh, telling Monken to dial it back. Let's just try to win this thing. You don't know if that's Foley Monken deciding to do that. Like, we don't know. But that has happened multiple times in the past before Monken was here.
Yeah. No, that was just about to make that point. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So that was, as frustrated as I was with the defense, I was way more frustrated with that side of it. And I'm still not able to understand why they decided to go so conservative. I mean, it's like Kevin O'Connell trusted JJ McCarthy last night after throwing a pick 6. Like,
yeah.
It's like, that's why I'm almost struggling with my words right now, because I really do not understand.
I think, like, to add to that, the other thing that Harbaugh has been criticized for is the challenges, right? Like, there's definitely something to this idea that, like, I don't know, just Harbaugh doesn't have his pulse on the game fully. Like, he's not watching the same game that we're watching. And the momentum shifts and things like that. Like, that's what a coach is there for, to like put that human aspect of like, man, I've got a gut feeling that just like the defense is not going to pull it out, this time. Maybe let's go for it here, or the other way around. You're like, man, our offense is really sluggish. Like, let's try to put our faith in the defense, or whatever the call may be. But like, it's that type of stuff that like is kind of important when you're trying to close out a game, for instance. And so there's something to that. I just feel like sometimes he's missing that edge to really see the game as it's flowing. And the unfortunate part is, like, he's good at everything else, but there's something there where he's just, I don't know. He just can't feel the game out in the right way to make kind of some critical calls at the right time.
And that kind of takes us to the next question from Ravens Max. Why did we not go for it on 4th and 3? Why, with like 20 whys and 20 exclamation points? Like, just to bring some stats, like Chiefs in 2021, where they get that 4th down, like it's almost the same situation. Cole Jackson had a tweet and it showed that it was our own territory. In that situation, it was on the 41. In this last game against the Bills, it was on the 38. This was a 4th and 3. I'm sorry. And the last one was 4th and 1, I believe. So maybe it's the stats telling him, get this ball back. It's going to hopefully be a good punt. And they're set up around, I don't know, hopefully the 20. Like, I still don't know what came to that decision. What would make you decide to take it out of the 2-time MVP, 170 yard rusher right now, and the wide receiver, just all of it, the whole team, how they were feeling and having an opportunity to make such a mark at the end of the game after this whole slide is happening. I think even if they didn't get it, there's still a minute 33. You had all 3 timeouts. Like, at worst, maybe they do get the first and they just end it there. But there is a chance that the defense does just make the stop, make the stand. I'm just totally, I am completely in awe about that decision. That was such a in one ear, out the other for me when it happened in the game. I was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised we didn't go for it. But it was just happening too fast. You knew Allen was going to score. Why do you guys think that we didn't go for it? Is it, like, you guys just kind of explained, DK, you did mention like that whole feel of, does Harbaugh have the right thought process right now? And honestly, that scares me, dude. I don't like the idea that our head coach with a top 2 or 3 roster in the league is not able to process the decision of how important that is. Like, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I was going to ask a question because maybe you guys can clarify for me. I think I read that Lamar Jackson said that he had cramps or something or other. And I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, Brad. What do you think?
Yeah, so Lamar said that he didn't basically yell at Harbaugh to go for it because he was cramping. Like, I don't think Harbaugh knew that Lamar was cramping when he made the decision. I think that's why Lamar wasn't running up to Harbaugh saying, like, we got to go for this.
Let's go for it. Yeah.
And like, they probably would have if Lamar did that. I'm not like, I don't think Harbaugh would have overrode him there. But, and this is going to be a crazy thing to say, but I truly believe it. Watching that game last night, do you think the Ravens have a higher chance of picking up that 4th and 3 and Wildcat or with Cooper Rush on the field, or stopping the Bills from getting a field goal? In my opinion, I would rather them go for it with either Cooper Rush or Derrick Henry and Wildcat or something.
Really?
The second the ball was punted, it was
over.
I was done. The game was over in my mind. I was numb from that point on, basically. Like, the Bills chunk plays after the Ravens punted, like, I could not have been less surprised. You know what I mean? So
wow.
I was very much in favor of going for it no matter what. And there was a really good comment from Matty Boom, and this is something I thought about while it was happening and after the game. Do you think if the Bills got that 2-point conversion on their second to last drive, we win because we would run our full offense, blah, 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 which, yes. When the Bills were going for 2, and Zach and I talked about this in our instant reaction, I promise I'm being honest, I was impartial to whether they got it or not, because it was like 135, 3 timeouts. I was like, if they get it, like, the Ravens are going to get a field goal. And the second they didn't get it, and it's like, yeah, they don't even have to onside or anything. They'd already been conservative 2 drives in a row before that. I was like, I wish they got it. Like, this is not good. The Ravens are going to be conservative and give them the ball back. And Nick Wright talked about that, who I disagree with plenty. He mentioned that as well. He was like, I think it was worse for the Ravens that they stopped them on the 2-point conversion. And I don't know about you guys, but like, I think I agree with him. And I think I agree with Matty Boom too.
Wow.
That's interesting. The other alternative game scenarios is what if Tyler Loop hit that extra point and it was a 3-point game versus a 2-point game, that makes things also interesting. But it's interesting. I think, well, first of all, I mean, I don't know. I think that's a little ludicrous. I probably because I lean towards, my love of defensive football. And I'm like, there's some aspect of like, all right, worst comes to worst. If Lamar Jackson's not out there, I don't know that I have that much faith that like a 4th and 3 is really worth it. But this is situational football too, right? So like if they don't make it, right, there's still enough time for the Bills to maybe kick a field goal, or, I mean, you're dealing with a couple factors here. Are we talking about Lamar's out just for that play, or because if he's out for the rest of the game, then I'm like, well, whatever, F it. It doesn't matter what happens. But like, if he's out just for that play, and we're going to give it up there, and they're going to kick a field goal or maybe score a touchdown or whatever, and we have a full chance to run our offense to try to score a touchdown or kick make a field goal or something, then that's, again, also a different game. But part of the challenge too, sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit, because like the 2-minute offense, or the game within 2 minutes, and this kind of like, where it's a close game, it's like a lead by 2, a lead by 1, and it's this back and forth, and it's really just a time management factor, especially when you've got like two. Obviously I love Lamar Jackson, but let's call it like, 2 top caliber. If one's better than the other, it's by a tick. So you've got equal forces at quarterback running the offense, right? Like what's going to make or break the game? It's really who gets the ball last and can effectively execute. And so it's just a clock management issue, right? Like who ends up with the ball last. Like to your point, it doesn't matter the points they score as long as you get the ball last and you can determine what points you get, right?
Yeah.
Which is an aspect of football that I kind of, this is why I like defensive football, because when there's an opportunity to actually stop them, it's not just who gets the ball last, because you can make a stop. You can practically make a stop. In this day and age, like, you got so many solid quarterbacks that run offenses and, gunslingers out there, but a lot of offenses just overpower defenses, and it's less fun for me. But I do think that like, in the scenario you presented, it would be kind of interesting if they got the 2-point conversion and then we ran our full offense, right? Then the creativity opens up. My issue with that last series by the Ravens was that basically that there was just, the conservative mindset, like, let's just kill the clock. Again, I'm not opposed to that, but if you're not sprinkling in something to try to catch them off guard, then you're dooming yourself, right? Like they were playing decent defense, and they just made you fumble the ball. Like you got to respect what they're doing. And my mind would have gone to a place where like, all right, we can't keep doing the same thing. Otherwise we're going to get the same result. Let's tweak something, just a little bit of something to try to catch them off guard. But your point is well taken, Brad.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one last thing about Harbaugh and situational football is, I don't know if you've seen this, DK, but I don't know if it was Kevin O'Connell or Sean McVay, but there was one of those coaches that mentioned how he plays Madden all the time to help with these like in-game situations. And as someone who's played Madden since I was 6, when Derrick Henry had the long rushing touchdown down the left sideline and the Ravens went up by 15 with, 11 minutes left, and Loop missed the PAT.
Yeah.
When Derrick Henry was running down the sideline, I stood up and yelled, "Game's over if we get the 2-point conversion."
Oh.
Like, I was thinking you go up for 2 to make it a 17-point game. Like that was instantly in my head. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't
3-4 game. Yep.
Yeah, because you're facing Josh Allen and the Bills. What's 16 versus 15? I get it. They have to get 2 2-point conversions instead of 1. But like the game is over right there if you can get a 2-point conversion with Lamar.
You're right. You're right about that. Wow.
So, and like
I don't play enough Madden, man.
Like I was thinking that immediately, like before he scored. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping that Harbaugh had that in his head and decided, oh, let's just make them go get 2 2-point conversions. But I don't think that's and
that's funny.
I don't know, man. You got to go for 2 there. It's the same thing it's the same thing when I'm playing Madden or I'm watching a game, and I think coaches have finally figured this out at least. Some of the more aggressive ones. You score a touchdown and you're up 7 near the end of a game, you go for 2 to try to be up 9 instead of being up 8.
8, right.
I always am in favor of doing that. I guess John Harbaugh isn't. So, especially when you have Lamar and Derrick Henry, like I think you got to do that and try to. You can you can ice the game with one play. You know what I mean? Instead of continuing this whole thing going on. So,
wow, I never even thought about that actually. To be honest, like I used to play Madden more. I played Madden in spurts here and there, and throughout my youth. But but you're right. Like if you constantly are in different scenarios, generated scenarios, like you're going to be thinking about these things, and you have a chance to simulate them, with whatever generated pressure of a game, winning a game. But those are real scenarios that come up, what can I do here to ice the game? There's this amount of time left just in case our defense falls apart and they come down and score two touchdowns. And, so that's a great point. And I don't know that I have faith in Harbaugh to that level, because I think, honestly, when you're talking about old school coaches, and when I think about what he does on the field and the type of football we end up playing is old school football. Even the plays that we run, right? I mean, we're a running team with a great explosive capability in the pass game.
Yeah.
And that's really predicated on an old school style of football. And so I tend to think that Madden is not in Harbaugh's repertoire.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe I had that thought with that if I never even played Madden. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know for sure that that's why I had that thought. So who knows? But I just wish that was a thought there, because I know there's some coaches in the NFL that would have gone for 2 there.
Yeah. Great. That was a great question. Oh my gosh. From _Deo51, for all our strengths, we still clearly have weaknesses. Which position group is most to blame? I'm going to kind of change this. Maybe which one were you more surprised by, as in didn't play up to the standard that you were hoping for? I don't necessarily think that there was one really to circle to blame. I think the secondary was a little weaker, 220 something yards in the fourth quarter. If you want to just call it a fourth quarter collapse, sure. Brad, what do you think about the position group you would, according to Deo here, blame?
I think it's very similar for different reasons. Pass rush and corners. I'm not going to say safeties, because Kyle Hamilton had an insane game, and I didn't see Starks making any crucial mistakes either. I think Nate Wiggins didn't have a great game. I think Awuzie made plays, also gave up some plays, but Jair Alexander, for how little he was on the field, gave up 4 or 5 massive chunk plays. And I'd go with corners there. I mean, but it's tough though, because they got no pressure all game, and it's really tough to cover these receivers when Josh Allen's running around. So I don't know if I have a distinct answer for that, because the pass rush was really disappointing, and I do think it's harder to be a corner in that situation. But I mean, I was pretty disappointed in both sides, but I do want to clarify, not the interior D linemen. Travis Jones and Madubuike were getting after it. The Madubuike sack, I felt put the game away with 7 minutes left when the Bills punted. I mean, the fact that the game wasn't over after that is pretty crazy. But I'd say corners, but mainly Jair, and then a little bit of Wiggins.
All right, can I give you an underrated answer?
Yeah,
please.
Actually, it makes me look at the middle of the field. What happened in the middle of the field? I mean, Roquan made a few tackles here and there. Trenton Simpson, he's still all over the place to me.
Yeah, he makes a few plays and then
kind of disappears.
Yeah.
And the I don't know, maybe this is second level thinking, but yeah, you're right. I mean, so the corners had to hold their receivers, hold the pass catchers up for quite a while. I mean, at some point they're going to fail, right? Like you can't guard guys forever. So like you can't cover guys forever, which means like the middle of the field guys, the linebackers have to make it appear as if everyone's covered at all times, right? So like you give enough of an opportunity for the guys up front to try to penetrate and get to the quarterback. I don't know. I don't know that I felt like I saw enough like linebacker blitzes, for as good as athletic as Trenton Simpson is. Like, honestly, I think his best use is when he goes after the quarterback so like, why didn't I see more of that? Like, I don't know that I think his strength is in covering guys. So like, why not use him that way if, he's still sort of like, we're still waiting for that full consistency from a Trenton Simpson, right? So I think there's something to the fact that like we just didn't hear the names. Like, again, Roquan kind of flashed throughout here and there, but nothing too crazy. And yeah, Trenton Simpson. So like, I think if those guys made some impact plays, it probably would have made some difference. It probably would have made Josh Allen second guess a few of his throws, or scrambling to try to get out of the pocket, and that type of thing. That's the first thing that comes. And then the other thing that I really thought this is really hard to say because Derrick Henry had like 175 yards rushing, but I do feel like, man, it's a different offense when we don't have Ricard in. Just our ability, because it's not just the yards, right? Like getting the I mean, Derrick Henry's going to get the yards, but when we really need the yards, on that last series, if we had a Ricard in there, I think it's a different series.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on, like, he shows up or like his talents are used at the crucial time when we got to churn out just a few dirty yards and steal it from the opposing defense, and like that's the value of a guy like that at that crucial time. To have a guy like that is like invaluable to me, because like if you're a running team and you're gonna do it, especially the way that that series unfolded, they clearly wanted to kill the clock, right? So you got to run the ball. Like, what's more demoralizing when, the fullback that's leading Derrick Henry punishes you first, and then Derrick Henry comes and follows up after that, right? Like, even if you get 3 or 4 yards, like, it just makes you think twice about trying to come in and attacking the running game. So I do think there's a nastiness that we're missing when Ricard is out.
Yeah, the straw man that Mr. John
That's
Gruden
right.
calls him.
Yeah.
I love that answer a lot. I had mentioned it in the post game that it was like there was a couple of those drives, I guess at the end specifically, that it was supposed to be, like you said, the turned out, let's get a few extra yards there, that Ricard is going to be the lead guy for him. And that was technically not there really at any point during the game. It was always 6 yards, 60 yards, 40 yards, whatever it was. So it was an embarrassment almost on that part, where it was like we don't know how to really call up this kind of situation without a Ricard and hope that the offensive line kind of bails us out. And I guess towards the end of it, it felt like there was some crucial plays that a Rosengarten or a Falele couldn't really make the massive block that we needed. So I guess I would point a little towards there. Matt.Hansen07, kind of a combination with this question here.
Yeah.
How long of a leash does Jair Alexander have before the Ravens start mixing in a TJ Tampa and others to try and test out, I guess, the waters, and can they play better? That is a scary question to me. I think everyone, all of the fans, so sold on how getting Jair Alexander, what that meant for the secondary initially. Like, it's supposed to be on paper, not even close, best in the league. And it's like, oh, well, actually, we're going to give up. I don't have the number, but I think 21 quarterbacks didn't even get as many passing yards as Allen did in the fourth.
Yeah.
In the whole games they played. So, like, what is the issue with mixing in guys? I think they'll do that anyways, right? But it feels like it was a different discussion after that game. DK, what do you think?
Actually, the one thing I could say is I was actually pretty impressed with Chidobe Awuzie in the game. Like he really showed up. I wasn't, I don't know. I didn't hear his name throughout camp so much, so I wasn't sure where he would fit in and how effective he would be for us. Here's the thing. I feel like I have like trauma from last year with the whole Marcus Williams thing. Like, and in the back of my mind, I had this thought that like, it's Marcus Williams and Brandon Stevens who like they have tape that's like, wow, this is great. They play awesome. And then there was some like weird drop off where they just didn't play the same, like as if they're like MLB pitchers that are hot one year and then completely different the next year. And so I'm like, all right, let me prepare myself. Like out of this collection of guys that we supposedly the best cornerback room, the best secondary in the league.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chance that one of those guys just doesn't have it for whatever reason. Maybe it's injury, maybe it's not. With what's his name, Marcus Williams last year, it wasn't really injury; it was just ineffectiveness or whatever. So, just to give this, the thought that you got to have a little bit of buffer to like eat the fact that somebody on your starting lineup might be ineffective, and you gotta bring somebody else in. So for that reason, I think one of the most underrated mistakes that the Ravens made this offseason was not getting Jalen Armour-Davis into the 53-man roster.
Wow.
Because you're gonna have to rotate the guys. I mean, first of all, we're talking about a secondary that if you include Jair Alexander, Awuzie too, like these guys have injury history, right? I mean, Jalen Armour-Davis had injury history as well, but like when you're playing in the middle of the season, you want, we know how much it hurts when you don't have your best guys out there in the secondary, right? Especially the way that we play. And so, when they dropped him, I was like, I don't know if that was like the smartest move, because like there might be a case where Jair Alexander's hurt. Then okay, you got to start Awuzie, and then Awuzie maybe he's in spots where he's hurt or he's ineffective. Like who else comes in? JAD was showing some pretty good tape during the preseason, and I always knew that he had talent. It was just like he was hurt a lot, and so the fact that he wasn't hurt was like a great thing. I think that was more of an issue of like, I don't know, if you ask me, I think it was probably, EDC wanting to give this guy a chance to start his, the next phase of his career somewhere else. And, it was in contract year, all that stuff. But like, man, I thought that might be a challenge. And then as soon as I saw Jair Alexander out there, I'm like, oof, I'm hoping that it's just like sort of coming back from injury. He just needs a little time. He's been a solid player for quite a while, but again, injury's been the issue. And so my hope is that we can just bring in Awuzie, bring in maybe a TJ Tampa, get some of the younger guys involved and see what they've got. And, to give Jair Alexander enough time to recover where he feels like he's 100%, we can rotate him back in, especially at the most critical points. Cause we need guys with experience, at the end of the day. And so, especially into the playoffs, I think that's going to be really critical. So, I'm not at a point where I'm bailing on him, or I think like, man, he's not the guy that we thought we were, so we should toss him aside and get the other guys, a starting role. But it is something that we need to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I was about to say. I think I would agree with you. The leash is probably a lot longer than, I guess, what everyone's deeming after that. Next question here from D.love_II. Do you think Lamar has to carry the defense again this season? And that's a short question, but I think it's kind of loaded that you're hoping that Zach Orr and the defense turn around and can get it going a lot earlier than last year. It was I don't remember what week 13, maybe 14,
like November. Yeah. When they turned it around.
Yep.
Like, I'm not totally sure we can wait that long again. But it's also kind of like last year, if we did that, we're looking even better in a week 1 game. So I definitely think Lamar can. I definitely think the offense can. But any little setback here to that group, sure, maybe Likely and Ricard were they're brought back in and it looks different too. But if any one of those guys is out for a long-term thing, I think that has a big effect on it. Brad, like, do you think Lamar has enough to do it? If it was maybe a season-long event or maybe until a week 13?
Yeah, I think the Ravens offense is like minimum top 3, probably the best in the league at least right now. I was thinking today how almost every day of training camp, the news was like offense isn't playing well, defense is dominating, Jair keeps picking off Lamar. It's like, where was that on Sunday? Like, and I was happy every day that I heard those things because I wasn't concerned at all about the offense. I mean, why would you be? So
Same.
every day that it was like, oh, defense dominated practice today, I was like, let's go. Like, that's really good to hear. And I thought about that today for the first time, and I was like, why were they so bad on Sunday if they are giving the Ravens offense fits in practice every day in camp? So that is something that I thought about. Comment from Nick here, 200%. Lamar carried that 2021 roster to 8-3 before he got injured. Yeah, like that team was 8-3 when Lamar got injured, and they finished 8-9. So there's no question that he can do it. You just would rather not have to score 35 points, 40 points every game. And obviously they would win more games with a good defense. I do agree with Harbaugh. The defense is going to get better this year. Like they're not going to give up 41 points every game. And like, let's be honest here. There was a few unlucky plays too for the Ravens defense. I mean, that tipped touchdown.
Oh God, man.
Game should have been over.
Get out of here with that. Yeah.
It's not like the Ravens defense. Like, I think this was not as bad of a collapse, just Ravens defense, not as a team, than the 2022 Dolphins game.
The Dolphins game.
That was a worse collapse for the defense than this one was.
Yeah.
Because that was just getting beat deep over and over. There was a decent amount of luck involved in this one for Buffalo with tipped passes. And I mean, if Awuzie, like, not hating at all, that's a really tough catch to make for a receiver. But if that would have been a pick where he dove forward and gotten it, again, game's over there. So I'm not super concerned about the defense. I mean, I already said it. My biggest concern coming away from this game is the coaching. So I don't think Lamar's going to have to carry this defense again, but maybe through September, it's going to be a little rough.
We got some comments here. Sutton saying what's up. Nate here. Nate has an interesting point here. Like, Mike Green is a first-round pick at a second-round value, and we didn't nearly use him enough. And I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think in general, really, all of the pass rush didn't really do great. So I would be on the side that says, okay, if we're not getting anywhere, let the young guy keep trying. Like, I don't know how much if a Kyle Van Noy or a Tavius getting beat out there, how much that's going to change it compared to a Mike Green who won a couple more reps. Like, what do you guys think about really, I guess, the rookies in general? I know there's a few Peebles plays that he seemed to look pretty good on. What do you guys think about the rookies in a week 1 game?
Man, I don't know. Maybe I just think it's a long season. I don't know. It's hard to glean. We're such like overreactors after 1 game. As much as possible, the only thing I'm trying to take from this game was that it was entertaining. Like, as heartbreaking as it was, like that's to me that the only way to kind of take a positive spin on it. But I saw Mike Green. I mean, he was out there. You saw him, get past some guys, but maybe not in the right position to make an impact on the play or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, these are things that we've seen throughout the offseason, preseason. So, like, he's gonna get home. He's gonna get there, and I have no doubt. Yeah, it was weird watching the pass rush. Like, we had guys on the inside who at times had more penetration than the guys on the outside. So it seemed like uneven, like on different plays, like different things were happening. And once in a while, somebody on the outside kind of got through, but Josh Allen's good enough to avoid one guy.
Yeah.
It's better when like two guys get through and now Josh Allen has to decide, all right, which way am I going? Or, if we can get him caught. But it was too much of that. It was like not enough guys winning at the same time to impact the game, because Josh Allen is just too good where it's like, all right, well, great. One guy beat him, but not so much where he just like tears apart the whole play. He's chasing him down, but Josh Allen's got an escape route. Are we going to face that every week? I don't, probably not. I mean, Josh Allen's a different animal. So again, pass rush and also with the young guys, I think here's the bottom line to me. Like, I just want to see improvement, right? And you can't tell that with one data point, right? Mm-hmm. So next week you'll be able to say, hey, did they get a little bit better? Do you see any regression? That's a little bit more, you get more data and you get, you can form an opinion, but from one game, I mean, it's always going to be an overreaction to me.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, an overarching kind of storyline for it is just the defense lacked a calibration as in a total group. There was maybe, a Simpson play every once in a while, Roquan was missing a tackle. It was Hamilton forcing fumbles, but they'd bounce out of bounds. It's like, there was just not a perfect, like, there wasn't even really two of those drives where the defense was like, oh, that was some Ravens defense we saw from last year. I think I brought it up in the last couple podcasts, but like, what I was expecting from a second year Zach Orr defense was nowhere to be found out there. Like, you're supposed to see such a big jump. And I felt like there would be corrections that you would have thought would take place, but I think it was missing.
I want to make one more point. This is something that came up on our show at 410 Sports Talk. I think James must have brought this up, but that this defense probably more than anything has John Harbaugh's footprints or fingerprints on it. And so, we tend to think like, oh, well, Zach Orr is running this whole thing. And, just the way last year ran, we brought in the assistants, Chuck Pagano's, like there are other elements there that lead me to believe that, I mean, he's there sort of like has the reins of the defense, but it's not 100% his is kind of the sense that I get sometimes. Like, they're running Harbaugh's defensive system and he's doing what he can within the scope. I mean, he's a young guy, so he's probably taking that. It's like, all right, I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. And I don't know that we're at a point where, and I to be 100% honest, I'm not sure how much, range of creativity. I mean, I guess we do see some creative defensive callers out there, like a
Brian Flores.
Brian Flores is the first one that comes to mind, where it's like, oh, I've never seen that, or these disguises that are ridiculous. But I mean, if we get to that, something like that, I mean, that's when I think, which maybe is kind of a little bit more of what we had with Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
And so, there's a little bit of a difference there. He had, a little bit of creativity there and confidence in his guys to call certain things. But my hope is that we get there. I just hope that Zach Orr has, he doesn't have too much of a leash on him so that he can try some of the stuff that was successful during the Mike McDonald time. So that, we can see the potential of these guys come to fruition in this defense like this year. And we're not having to wait till halfway through the season or beyond halfway through the season, like we did last year. But, I mean, I'm willing to give him a week or two, but, I'd like to see some serious improvement for sure from the defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And our final question of the evening, gentlemen, the Ravens Hub, friend of the program, asks, what's something good that came from the week 1 loss that has you hopeful for the season? Brad, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, because the Ravens were about to blow out the Bills, I think there's more good than bad. Like, honestly, like I made my stock up, stock down post today of everyone that I think, played very well. And I'm not going to talk about Lamar or Kyle Hamilton or Ronnie Stanley or even Derrick Henry, but like Zay Flowers, man, I saw Theo Ash, a guy who's a bit younger, who is does awesome stuff on TikTok and has a podcast. He tweeted in funny fashion, if Zay Flowers keeps running straight, he might win Offensive Player of the Year. like I almost said last night. Sunday night, Zay, I haven't seen that much like conviction out of him after the catch ever. And he said this offseason he was working on it, and like it was very obvious. The deep crosser he caught going to the right when he sort of cut in between the two defenders after the little high step. I hadn't seen that before. He usually dances around a lot there, and then the screen just taking off and scoring. I mean, I'm not going to say looked like a different player, but it was really cool to see Zay, take off and go like that. Linderbaum's already a great player, but he had some insane blocks that just solidifies him as a top 2 center in this league. And then I'll say Awuzie. I was very impressed with Awuzie. And like you mentioned earlier, DK, it seemed like you can sort of tell, especially with Keaton Mitchell right now, there may be guys sometimes that you can sort of feel Harbaugh doesn't fully trust them or maybe like them. And I had that feeling with Awuzie in camp because Harbaugh didn't really mention him. It didn't seem like he was even playing that much in 11-on-11 in camp, but he's out there starting first snap of the game. And I think he played better than Wiggins and Jair for sure. So if he can stay healthy, that could be a good corner all season.
What are you thinking, DK?
Wow. So you took all the good stuff. I don't know. There are a couple others that I had thought about. So, a topic of discussion, I guess I don't mean to be negative, but like, we were all talking about, well, how good is this offensive line, right? Daniel Faalele's name came up a lot of times in criticism. Obviously, we saw some really horrendous plays, but to switch it up, I actually thought Voorhees played all right, for being in his spot. And maybe that's just in comparison to Daniel Faalele. I'm not quite sure, but I thought he did all right. I saw him hustling on plays where Lamar was scrambling, and, that's a big plus. And the other one that, a little bit of a mixed bag, but, again, rookie Tyler Loop, right? Like he hit some kicks and in his first game. And I guess, you'd like to, obviously the way the game went, you'd like to have that extra point back.
Yeah.
But I mean, he looks like an NFL player, which is all you can ask for in game one, after following a guy who might end up in the, Hall of Fame. So yeah, I mean, those are some encouraging signs that I think we can look into for the next few weeks and watch these guys and see, hopefully that trend continues.
Yeah, I love this comment here from Nate. Zay looks like he took a step forward out of sophomore year. He's agreeing with Brad there. I'm staying in that same room. My glimmer of hope was from DeAndre Hopkins. I think having just a little bit of that spice as in a wide receiver 3 now is like a different animal. And having that one catch to show, oh yeah, they have DeAndre Hopkins and he's making a play to us that is unheard of, looks ridiculous, and it might not even be top 5 on his resume. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's like that's a different feeling. I think seeing someone of that caliber in a Ravens uniform and actually really panning out a full step upgrade from someone like Aguilar. So it's a good feeling. Yeah. You guys have anything else to add? I think that's all the questions we have for tonight.
I really like the DeAndre Hopkins thing, Zach. When he had the one-handed catch, my dad yelled, that's why I've hated playing against him all these years. Like those are the plays he makes against the Ravens. And also DK, you mentioning Tyler Loop. I think that was a really good point too. Like obviously the missed PAT, so you can't completely glaze his performance. But what was it, 53-yarder going out? Yeah. First kick of his life in Buffalo after like Lamar takes a sack.
Impressed.
I did not feel good about that one. And he nailed it. So I like how you put it, like looks like an NFL kicker. So a lot of rookies, cough, cough, Browns, have some rookie kickers that completely falter in September of their first season. So that was good to see as well.
Yeah. The only thing I would add is like, this is more of a general point, but like you know, there are enough positive signs in what we saw from the Ravens that, you know, if we're talking about building on it, like we've got a lot of great building blocks, and we already knew that from how the roster is composed. But I think, you know, the Bills are probably up there. You know, we're going to play the Chiefs a little bit, and there's some other. It's a gauntlet of teams after the Browns, but I think based off of what happened, you know, over the last weekend, I think we're better prepared to face that. And you know, we're going to be in a place where Harbaugh would have, you know, maybe he picks up Madden and you know gets a few reps in himself, so that we're prepared for that gauntlet. So when those, you know, crazy scenarios come up, it's a little bit more creative, a little less conservative, and we can make it happen and notch a few wins through that gauntlet.
I like it. Any final thoughts, Zach?
I'm all good. DK, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, man, I love it. You guys are fun. This is great.
Yeah, thank you so much, DK, for coming on tonight. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Oh, well, I am on Twitter. I mean, I have a few people following me. I post once in a while when I'm really pissed off about some random take that nobody pays attention to. But DK Kunimoto on Twitter, on X. I'm also on Instagram, DK Kuni. And yeah, catch us at 410 Sports Talk. We're on, you know, twice a week. We do a pregame show a few days before the game, generally like Thursday. I think this week we'll go on tomorrow and Thursday, and then right after the game you can catch us. So yeah, hope to see you guys also there as well.
Yeah, everyone make sure to go subscribe to 410 Sports Talk. We'll put the link in the description real quick. Just want to do some shout outs of the chat tonight. Andrew G, Nate Blake, 2 Federal, Maddie Boom, Beyond Levels TV, Nick, and Sutton, as always, friend of the show. Appreciate everyone for being here tonight. We will see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.